Hello guys, Mr. Mathz here. In this video I'm going to be covering how to subtract large numbers. I've made a video on how to add large numbers, and this video is about how to subtract large numbers. So, as you guys can see here, we're going to line up the numbers and then we're going to subtract. So, let's start off with number 1. So, now we have 9,563 minus 4,827. So let's line these two up. 9,563 minus 4,827. Now we have lined them up. Gonna straight line right here, put a subtract sign, and we can start subtracting. Sorry guys. So now we subtract from right to left and from top to bottom. So let's start with 3 minus 7. So in these problems, we can't go in the negatives because it will be an incorrect answer. Because we do it one by one and not the whole answer. So if you have, if you get a negative answer or a negative number for your first subtraction, it will be false. But we have a nice way for this to go around this and get the correct answer. So as you guys can see here, 3 minus 7 would be a negative number. But what we can do is, instead of carrying over the 1, what we do with addition, we have to borrow 1 from the number left to it. So now we can borrow 1 from the 6. So the 6 becomes a 5 now, and the 3 becomes a 13. Now we can start subtracting. So 13 minus 7 equals 6. So as you guys can see now, we ended up with a 6 instead of a minus, instead of a negative number. So now we go over to the next one. So now we have 5 because we had borrowed a 1 from the 6 and it became a 5. We have 5 minus 2. This we can do. We just write a 3. Now again, we have a 5 minus 8. Again, we can't do this because it will go into the negatives. Now, before moving on to number 2, I do want to talk about borrowing and what happens when we do so. For example, when I borrowed from the 6 over here, we borrowed a 1. But actually, because the 6th is in a tenths place, in a hundredths place, we aren't. Oh wait, no, in a tenths place, my bad guys. In a tenths place, we didn't borrow a 1, we borrowed a 10. For example, if we borrowed from here, from the 5, we would have borrowed not just 1, but 100. And same for the thousands, which I will show you now. So, now we have to borrow from the 9. And, as you guys know, this 9 has a value of 9,000. So, actually what we do is, we don't just borrow 1, we borrow 1,000. So, we have 1,500 minus 800 right here. But we can just see it as 15 minus 8. So 15 minus 8 equals 7. So now we are done with that one, and now we go over to the last one. We have 8 minus 4, and this will just be 4. So this will be our final answer of the first example. So now let's go over to the second example, where we have much larger numbers. We have 682,409 minus 257,834. So again, we just start by lining these numbers up. With 682,409 minus 257,834. So now we can start subtracting. So this one will be a bit more difficult because I made it very much complicated. You guys will see in a minute when we start doing this. So let's start with 9 minus 4. Of course, 9 minus 4 is just 5, so we can just write down the 5. Now it gets a bit interesting. We have 0 minus 3. Again, we don't go in the negatives, so we can't do this. So we have to borrow 1 from the 4, like this. So the 4 becomes a 3, and the 0 becomes a 10. So now we have 10 minus 3, and that's just 7. So now we're done with the second row. Now we're going to the third one. Now we have 3 minus 8. As you guys can see, this also doesn't work. So now we have to borrow 1 from the 2. So 2 becomes a 1, and the 3 we have left over here becomes a 13. Now 13 minus 8 equals 5. So now we are done with these three numbers. We go on to the last three. Now again, we have 1 minus 7. And again, we can't do this. So we have to borrow from the left. So our 8 becomes a 7 and our 1 becomes an 11. Now 11 minus 7 we can do, and 11 minus 7 will equal 4. Now to the next two, these two are very simple. We have 7 minus 5, which equals 2, and 6 minus 2, which equals 4. And we will get our final answer. I made this problem because you have to borrow twice for some things, like this one. We made this into a 3, but we couldn't do 3 minus 8, so we made the 3 into a 13. And exactly the same for this one. We borrowed from the 2, turning it into 1, but we couldn't do 1 minus 7, so we had to borrow and put it by the 1. So this was basically the video, guys, on subtracting large numbers, where we line them up and then subtract. If you guys enjoyed the video, leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. You can always leave a question in the comments, and this was Mr. Mathz, and I'll see you guys in the next one.